All right, welcome back. Welcome back to the Detroit is Different podcast studio. And this time is an iteration that y'all done seen before. It's me and the homie that usually breaks this whole thing down when I'm the person that is getting the questions asked to. But we're going to do a little something later in the year, too, connecting to the friendship. Sterling Toles.
What up, dog?
What's happening?
What's that?
Yep.
What
So,
up, Doski Broski?
all these East Siders.
My baby.
Have to get some parking lot barbecue.
Why we here, man?
Oh man, we just having a conversation about Detroit is different. What's happening now as the Collard Green Cook-Off is preparing for the playoff round. So first off, when it is a playoff round, it just is leading to it's 2 rounds. All right, so it's not a regular season in the Collard Green Cook-Off yet.
Regular season.
Now the in-season tournament.
82 cook-offs in the playoffs.
Preseason summer league. So it's not
my
that yet.
God.
It's just a playoff. Like we're gonna have 2 rounds.
Yeah.
And the first round came about as something that everyone from last year, it was so much energy around the Collard Green Cook-Off. They were like, we need to get more people. We need to get more people. And I was like, well, damn, if we get more people, that's a lot of judging. And I think we're going to have to do 2 rounds. And that's what led to the whole concept.
Yeah.
And in that, a good friend of mine, Sharea Ayers, Black Leaders Detroit, that's one of my homies, like real close when it comes to this work and organizing. And I was like, yo, Sharea, I don't want to have to do the lift of everything. So can we put the playoffs inside the Juneteenth Jubilee celebration? And then she looked at me like usual Sharia energy. Like, all right, how's it going to look? And then Sharia's organizing and everything. And then connected with her sister Janae over at Joseph Walker Williams Center for the grand reopening.
Right.
And it's like, okay, this is all that great energy. Black Leaders Detroit, DeJuan Dandridge is over there. That's the homie too. So... just a lot of good energy.
Wait, so are these were these people involved last year, or are they new to this process of doing the cook-off?
Well, last year, in the capacity of they were one of the sponsors, but they also spoke at the Collard Green Cook-Off. Sharia may have been maybe the first or second speaker.
Okay.
So she was there. She witnessed it. And Sharea always got a mind for events and how things should function. So she gave some critique. She loved it. And I was like, well, hey, guess what? This year, we going to be a part of what you do as well. And I love what she's been doing with Juneteenth Jubilee from the many iterations, starting at the Charles Wright Museum and then transitioning over to, I forget the name of that space. I spoke at their Juneteenth celebration during COVID-19 when it was live streamed off kind of around the corner from where the Jam Handy is. And then also Livernois. It took over Livernois, the Avenue of Fashions one year, where I took a lot of cool shots, just getting my photography game on. And it's grown, the Juneteenth Jubilee celebration. I think it is like a premier Juneteenth experience for Detroit.
Right.
Juneteenth is becoming like an experience.
4th of July for black people.
Yeah, no, it outside of just Texas where it was for so long.
Right.
I went to the bank today. They had a sign up like we'll be closed June 19th. I'm pretty sure it's like some bigots that are like, why?
Right.
What?
Oh man. So okay, so both cookout events are happening within the Jubilee or the first one.
So the Juneteenth Jubilee is this weekend coming. So Saturday, June 15th, but it's 3 days, the Jubilee. Our portion is Saturday, June 15th at Joseph Walker Williams Center. The event starts from 12 to 6. The Collard Green Cook-Off will be from 4 to 6. So this is the playoffs of the Collard Green Cook-Off.
And so how many contestants are in this first round?
You got 10 contestants, so you got 10 collard green cooks or chefs. You know, so it's a lot of energy and a lot of logistics getting to people, but this is gonna be fun.
Right, and then the second one is going to be how many people? So
5.
So we're going to whittle it down to 5.
Yep.
And then they are going to dethrone the Nikola Jokic of the collard green cook-off, which is Buddha.
Buddha's the undisputed champion. So that's what's also gonna happen. So last year at the collard green cook-off, the one biggest critique was, why can't we vote? Why can't we vote was probably mentioned to me.
Oh wait, because it was a panel of judges, right?
Judges.
And the people there wanted to vote.
Yes.
Okay.
The people, I at least got that maybe like 15 times. Why can't I vote? Why can't I vote? Them judges don't know what they doing. It was really like a boxing match. Like I love sports. For people that know me and had any long conversations with me, I make so many sports analogies, and it was so unique to see like a group of grandmas have the same energy that we have, like with like anybody else that knows me. Like when we watch have fight night, when we watch boxing matches, like they were like engaged like at the end of a boxing match.
They wanted to vote. It was like Math Hoffers versus Loaded Lux. It was like that's the winner right there.
Exactly. They don't know what they're talking about. So the criteria we're judging on creativity, taste, and texture. That's the criteria for the judges.
Wait. So wait a minute. I'm confused now. So everybody's voting, or just the judges are voting again?
Everybody gets a chance to vote this year.
All right, but everybody has to vote to this criteria.
Not necessarily. The judges have that. So this is the dunk contest element.
Okay, so the audience is like the extra.
They're 50%. So the audience is 50% of the vote. Mm-hmm. It's already seeming confusing, but y'all riding.
No, that makes sense. The
audience makes up 50% of the vote, and the judges make up 50% of the vote.
Right.
So the judges have the criteria of creativity, taste, and texture. The audience could just be like, "That's
criteria of what I like."
It's like, so there they go. So the way it works is, as all of this is on the fly. It's like no manual in this. The whole concept of it, how it came about.
Yeah, have we talked about this yet, or have you?
Last year, I thought we talked about it last year.
About how it came about.
Did I? But I'll say it.
I don't remember, but
okay. So, in the midst of like my journey in hip hopping and community engagement and what else do I do? Podcasting and graphic design and video and stuff. I attended Walsh College, and while attending Walsh College for business, for marketing specifically, where I have a bachelor's and master's in marketing from Walsh, I was going through this. One of my marketing teachers at the time, we were doing a couple of chapters on experiential marketing, new ways of marketing. Anthony Racka, shout out Professor Racka. Racka was cool. And at the time, this was when the San Francisco Giants were on like their first run of, I guess, the 2000-ish era of winning World Series, which I kind of didn't like that team because they beat the Tigers like very bad. But this wasn't against the Tigers. And on that run, they did this like No Shave November. And it was a beer company that sent them a lot of like gear and like beer balm and brushes and things like that. So this was like around the time of like the beer movement.
Right.
And then they came up with like a hook. And the hook for it was they came up with this website that's like a spoof website, like where it's like the Beard Academy and Institute of Science, where it was a lot of real information about beards, but you're like, who would be this specific about beards? So that was the marketing hook. So around this time while I'm taking this class, my grandma in Cleveland, Grandma Vale, shout out Grandma Vale, with her Purple Oasis garden that she has in East Cleveland, like East,
Cleveland,
like East 99
Yeah.
almost, you know, for those that like Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Mm-hmm.
She comes to me and says, get creative. And she pushes my creativity more than most with ideas. So she shot down like 4 of my ideas that were like more basic and standard. I was like, well, you could make like a Institute of Collard Greens and do like a collard green cook-off. And she was like,
Wait. So what was the prompt though? Like, what was?
she was just pushing me to come up with something creative for her garden.
Oh,
that could
got
get
you.
more energy
Got
around
you.
her garden
Okay.
in Cleveland.
Got you.
And this is years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, so from that idea, it stuck in my mind because it was so funny and just like, you know, an Institute of Collard Greens.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like part of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Years later, we do a lot of studio. That was the concept of like a studio lot, meaning like a soundstage studio on a lot of land,
Right.
which was something we did for 2 years during COVID, just so that people could connect and engage.
Mm-hmm.
And the 3rd year, we didn't do it last year
Mm-hmm.
because the funding and a lot of other energy, just stuff wasn't lining up.
Mm-hmm.
But the goal was to close out with the collard green cook-off.
Mm-hmm.
When Regina Ann Campbell from Build Institute heard about it, she was like, I want to sponsor that.
Mm-hmm.
So, though a lot of studio didn't happen,
Mm-hmm.
collard green cook-off was happening because we got sponsorship for it. So it was like, damn, we got to stick to this. I got mad love for Regina too. So that's where myself and anybody that knows me, my project manager, Suzanne Clegg, we started picking apart like, okay, if we do this, what will it look like? How will it feel? How do you bring this whole vision together? And that's how we started placing the whole idea. So it was like, okay, we're going to get different chefs. We got to have some type of criteria and rubric for judges to judge. People can get 1 free tasting ticket, so that stands. And then they can buy the rest of the tasting ticket. So for $10, you can try all the collard greens. And then it's like, okay, if I eat collard greens, I want some cornbread too. So shout out to April and Good Cakes and Bakes and that team there. She stepped up with the cornbread. And then it was like, okay, you can get a water too. So for $10, you get to try all of the collard greens and you get a water, you get some cornbread. It came about. And that key critique that everybody had was, I want to vote. How do we make this more like sports? The dunk contest. So for anybody that watches the NBA dunk contest, the judges vote and the audience votes. But the more I think about it, maybe the judges are the only people that matter. But the people know that the audience vote still matters. But for this, the audience vote is going to be 50-50. So we're right now figuring out how to make ballot boxes. And we got poker chips. So when you buy your collard green tasting tickets, you're going to get 5 poker chips. And with those poker chips, to each person that's in it, they're going to be able to vote. So like, let's say, I don't know, let's say your cousin is your cousin. So it's like, all right, I got to give him at least 2 poker chips. But the person that really wins going to these other 3. That's how it'll go. And we'll also have a lot of volunteers connected to the Juneteenth Jubilee Celebration. So we're gonna have I don't know what they're called, but like the people that monitor like voting. So it's gonna be like almost
officiant is a
what is that?
an official.
Yeah, we're gonna have voting officials by each ballot box. that are gonna just make sure that people don't, people put a water bottle on it, and then the person be like, "I lost, my ballot box was covered up," So you're gonna have that non-biased
We don't want collard green gate.
collard green. It's like I knew I was gonna lose.
Oh man!
So we'll have those people right by the ballot boxes. The judges will still be judging. you know, and it should just be like a fun experience, you know. We pay each cook for being in the cook-off, and we also pay a lot of growers. So this year we had a lot more growers involved because
Yeah, talk about that. Talk about the imprint of like having growers involved with this. Because I remember talking to Buddha, and Buddha was talking about he picked up the greens.
Yeah.
From I forget who it was, but
Yep.
he went and picked up the greens and then made them, and it's like this. That's beautiful too, because like the greens that are being
Grown.
yeah, they're right here. You know.
Yeah, so that's also a part of the grander vision because that was always my grandma's vision because she had a garden, you know.
Right.
So really syncing the cooks with the growers and learning more about the food ecosystem and the capacity for this. Like I have my garden boxes and I know my style of like what the yield is, but I'm just pulling that to eat and sharing with my family and some people on the block. But it's different when it's like, okay, no, we need to buy 70 pounds of collard greens.
Right.
So to grow 70 pounds of collard greens by June 11th, you have to have a right amount of seeds in the ground. You have to kind of know what's going on with the crop. You have to know what's going on with the weather, the temperament. You can't just grow nothing but collards. You have to grow enough other crops to, you know, fend off like whatever the rabbits or the bugs that'll eat away at it and everything. You know, it's like a certain amount of balance. Technically, a good garden has a balance of pollinators and non-pollinators, and I'm learning a lot of this stuff on the go too.
Right.
So for people a part of the like Aaron, my lady, and everything,
They're getting it all wrong.
like, what you talking about? So what I'm talking about is my interpretation of this. You know what I'm saying? So, so there will be 300 pounds of collard greens cooked for this.
I'm curious. So when you did it last year, I ain't gonna lie. Like I've been to a lot of your events.
Yeah.
This one was like, whoa! Like it was obvious. It struck a chord with the community.
Yeah.
Did you know that going in that it was gonna be like this? Did you anticipate that? Did you?
I can say this.
I mean, because it was packed, and it was, I mean, for hours and hours.
Yeah, like I said, those grandmas were sitting there looking like we looked.
Yo, it's serious. It was serious business.
Match, like like all right, I know. You know,
yeah. You know how serious it was. I swear to God, because I got there a little bit late. I got like right after they decided who won.
Yep.
Buddha was gone. He took it. Hey, he took that money a beeline. He took the trophy and beeline.
That's what it is. It's not even for money.
He didn't stick around for the politics.
Yeah.
I'm like, where Buddha at? Buddha left already. I'm like, Buddha left already.
Booze and everything. So we knew we were on to something because people see it and have a visceral reaction. And we do a lot of different things over the years with Detroit is Different. This is 10 years of Detroit is Different. So shout out to all the support of everyone that buys in and has supported Detroit is Different. We wouldn't be in this position to do anything if it wasn't for the support of people that encourage it. And some people, I think, are still learning it. Like, yeah, a lot of this is the plane being built while flying it. We knew something because when I put up the Eventbrite, it packed like that fast. I was like, damn, this is interesting. So then we added a couple more. Then we added a couple more. Then it was like, this is crazy. I think we may run out of collard greens.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? So, so with that, we were actually happy that it rained. And it was not like a regular rain. It was a bad storm that day.
Right.
People still came out.
Right.
So I can only imagine what would have happened if the energy would have been the same. Because it felt like that just building up. You know, and it also was the introduction of Grandma Street Team. So
what is the Grandma Street Team?
So the Grandma Street Team is like back to like picking away at different ideas that I think connect in our community. Traditionally, a street team is a group that does, I would consider like guerrilla marketing, hand-to-hand flyers and everything. And that's usually, I think, really picked up in a lot of hip-hop culture back in the day. And that worked with a lot of young people.
Right.
The tough thing about that is, first off, a lot of people stopped printing flyers in the social media era.
Right.
The other thing is just you kind of need some social capital and cachet to really hand a person a flyer.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just walk into every store and just leave them on the counter.
Right.
You really need to walk up and hand it to a person.
Right.
To be the person to hand a flyer off, that's where that social capital kind of comes. And then when we evaluated everybody in the community, it's like, who's the one person that really does still bring so many of the variances and nuances of our community together? And that's the grandma. I think that due to the lens, which in this lens, it's a lot of reality, scarcity that exists for a lot of the resources that lead to the quality of life that many of us seek in America, and comforts that we seek. It straps our time. And in strapping our time, it drives more wedges and divisions amongst us in community.
Right.
And I'm specifically talking about the Black community, but I'm sure that this mirrors in other communities too. The one person that can bring the cousin that's in the Nation of Islam, the cousin that's in the street,
Yeah.
the cousin that lives, I don't know, on 26 Mile and hates the neighborhood now.
Yeah.
The
Cousin that's in the strip club.
the cousin that's in the strip club, you know what I'm saying? The cousin that go to church every week,
Yeah.
the person that brings that together is the grandma energy.
Right.
Because it's almost like a through line that does exist in community through that matriarch.
So how do you recruit grandmas for the streets?
So this is the thing. I already kind of know a good amount of the grandmas that already are supportive of like a lot of Detroit's different stuff. So I was like, they already have different social capital, and the different grandmas of the street team represent, I think, different dynamics of culture in our community. And I'm like, we can honor this. They're already going to all of these events. They're already, they already have that social cachet. They already have the social capital. So we need to hit them off with, I call them the 313 contracts. So I pay them in intervals of $313, depending upon what the project is. Let them know about it. And then they actually help with, brainstorming what this stuff looks like and what it should feel like, because they're experiencing culture and community on so many levels. Collard Green Cook-Off was the first thing where I was like, let's try this instead of, more advertisement online or the younger street team. And no offense to the younger street team, but, it's back to that timing. You know what I'm saying? When you're younger, you're more in the hustle and bustle. And I don't know if you're going to dedicate the follow through,
Right.
And the phone call and the extra of like, yeah, I'm going to get up there and go to that park and walk up to people and talk to them and hand them the flyer,
Right. So, how many grandmas are on the street team? So
We have 5 on the street team now. But
you want to shout anybody out? You want to shout out anybody on the street?
We can shout out all of them. So Tony McElwain, Tony for years, Ravendale Community Network right there on the east side off Harper, kind of across the street from Harpo's.
Yeah.
Tony always pounding the pavement. She and she got a different group of like OGs that she hang around too, so they'll come to events. So she be like, yeah, we come in with all together. And, Linda Buchanan in my neighborhood at Greater Quinn Church and the board president of Hope Village Revitalization, where I'm the what is that? The vice president of the board and everything. So Linda is like, so Tony, like I say, East Side, also in the church, also like warm spirit, very, like, what would I say? Tony's one of the sweetest people you'll ever meet. Loves engaging in the community. She also owns and operates a couple of shelters for men. And this is just kind of the work she's done for so long. Her life story and autobiography is actually one of the most moving autobiographies I've ever read. And then Linda in my neighborhood, it's going to be, Linda is in the church and everything, but Linda listens to more like, She listened to more Detroit rap than you actually. So like every time you think that, because she a grandma, she gonna like blues and all that. She like, turn that Al Green off, put on that Peasy. You know, Linda's a trip. You know what I'm saying? Just in the sense of like being in the Boston with younger people, but one of the most very organized and very creative in our own right of graphic design and everything. It's a project where she brought to me where we're going to work on something for Greater Quinn Church where she wants to learn more in video editing. So I'm like, pull up, let's do it. Darnetta Banks. Darnetta is in like the Livernois 6 Mile area. And Darnetta does a lot with schools and a lot with parents. And is just known in her neighborhood as like one of those key resources. Like these are people that people already connect to.
Right.
Arena Perry, Arena like always saying a grandma. I'm like, Arena, you is a grandma. But she's a young good grandma. But Arena from International Detroit Black Expo when I met her to now the National Business League, so many things in business and style decor, always working with our daughters, so it's like more of a family affair. And then Sylvia McClinton, and she's like always like in like a lot of the activist circles and hustling and dancing, and one of the first people like, you know, if music's playing, she's on the floor dancing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like these are like different variances, I think, of personalities that reflect in our community. And there are so many other variances of personalities that extend and connect. But the key thing and the through line of all of them are they really love Detroit. They really love connecting with community. And events like this, it's like it locks in for them, you know. And last year's Collard Green Cook-Off was the first thing, and it's like since then we've worked with the grandmas for other events, and it's always cool just being around because it's like almost like a team of, you know what I'm saying? Like on one end, like my tech team is so young,
Right.
my outreach team is experienced. My outreach team is like so experienced.
Yeah, well, that's the beauty of the cross section, right? Of like just because to me, like, I feel like if anybody's doing anything like in community, like the intergenerational piece is so important, and having people involved at every stage of life, you know, because everybody's perspective is different, you know. So, how do you feel like this event has maybe informed, changed, evolved, like all of the other things you do with Detroit is different, or creative differences in larger?
Well, I think first off, Detroit is different is really like the brand that most people connect with. Creative differences is kind of like the corporate when people hire us for stuff. I think that what's happened since then, it's kind of like a lot of the other blocks and Legos. Like I was recently speaking with a brother that Detroit is Different was awarded the opportunity to win a grant through Kresge. And brother was on the phone and he was like, man, so how long you been doing this? And I'm like, damn, how long have I been doing this? So then I had to like kind of go back to my hip hop story and everything.
Yeah.
So sometimes I feel I'm in the mix of doing it that I'm not really stepping back and thinking to myself like, oh, okay, okay, that's what it is, you know? So as I'm doing more, I'm trying to be a little bit more intentional about connecting things, hence the interview that we're having right now, and grounding it and connecting it and sharing that story a whole lot more. So something like the Collard Green Cook-Off really is crystallizing the mission that took a while to really get to. And shout out to Suzanne for saying it. It's healing community through culture with media and events. It's the experience of like walking into a place where it's like the inside joke of Black culture on a grandiose display.
What you mean?
Meaning like, you know how we always say like, you know, I love an artist that, you know, is a mega star, but like most of their audience is like black. You know? So that's Frankie Beverly and Mays, Luther Vandross.
Jeezy.
Who you say?
Jeezy.
Yeah, Young Jeezy. You know what I'm saying? Jeezy, I guess not. But like artists like that, I think represent the culture in a different way. And I'm not saying like an artist like I don't know, like at an Earth, Wind and Fire show, you know, it's gonna be more diversity. And that's not a bad thing per se. But it's different at a Frankie Beverly and Mays show. You know, it feels different. You know? So I think that platforming that in a way when things can be so divisive, when things can be so like not honored just for being like black and agency to something. You gotta be black and a part of this sorority or fraternity. You gotta be black and from this neighborhood. You gotta be black and, you know, went through this experience. You gotta be black and know these people. You gotta be black and live in this neighborhood. Like all of these other parts of the agency, how do we just have platforms that just honor the blackness for being? And we're welcoming all of that together. And that's what this experience does. And I feel that the more I'm thinking of intentionally how we can move that way and sharing that idea and vision with all the people that I'm working with, they turn around and say, okay, I'm seeing more of it. It pours in more and it pours in more and it pours in more. And then people come together for an experience and it's like, oh man, that's cool. Like the My Natural Hair show as well. And people say, oh, that's cool. Or the I'm the rapper, she's a DJ. And I swear it was only maybe like 8 people there for the performance or something. But that was one heck of a performance, even in passing. And I'm so glad that we were able to document that and share in that experience. And platform something that it's like, we're going to value this without, I guess, the validation of something outside of our community to say that it has value.
And what's the experience for Khary Frazier and all of this? I'm curious.
Oh, me? I'm tripping out because, like I said, you know, I love sports. So for the collard green cook-off, everything is like, okay, what other dynamics and elements from sports that I appreciate can I kind of flip on his head and put into this? Or even like the shirts, you know what I'm saying? The shirts are like different designs of like a lot of the hood gangster movies that I like, but instead of like money or drugs,
I ain't seen one shirt yet.
Collard greens.
I need to see these shirts. I haven't seen one shirt yet.
Oh, you haven't? Okay, so I'm gonna show you. So like Calvin from Paid in Full, instead of holding money, he's holding collard greens. We have the scene from Set It Off where like Jada Pinkett and them like dump a lot of money on the car and then they all
it's all collard greens.
So they all dump, like hugging collard greens. So like just other nuances of black culture.
You came up with that?
Yeah, it's
that's
just
good.
Like joking. It's like, okay, what would be funny? You know what I'm saying? So I like, you know, those inside jokes of like black culture in my era, I guess. That's like, okay, that's funny. So then when a person gets it, it's even funnier.
Yeah.
So that's really what the kick is for me. And seeing it all come together and work. You know, I'm looking forward to like getting the perspectives on what the ballot boxes and the voting process is. I love my people, you know what I'm saying? So I know it's going to be like, you should have did that. And that's how things get better, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Man, do you feel like, how can I say it? Like, do you feel like this is something that, that you feel like is very much like central to everything that's happening in your life, in the sense of like, I mean, whenever you're doing something, I know for myself, it's like you can start to live inside of the projects that you're doing because there's so much to it, right? Like when I'm working on certain projects, for example, like with the Bodie project, like it wasn't a day that went by where I wasn't thinking about it, processing something, doing something on it, or like doing something in my head for it. And it's like when it was over, I realized like I live with it every single day. And I'm saying, because sometimes I look at you and I marvel at so much of what you're doing, and there's so many components to all of it. I wonder how your life just you as a human being, how your life fits into all of these things that you're doing at the same time.
I'm still trying to figure that out too myself, my brother. So like, I can say this, and this is where we share. I feel very blessed to be in a presence of mind where I feel that the autonomy I have to live the life I lead is so beautiful. So that's where I guess I would be kind of like, I don't live in just one project. It's so many things just processing in my mind about other projects. So I'm here in the collard green cook-off, and I'm definitely thinking from the playoffs, I got to think about the championship. But as much as I'm thinking about the championship, I'm really excited about, a forum that we're planning on hosting in November. Is Detroit ready for a black mayor woman? You know what I'm saying? Or a black woman mayor. It's like, so I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about what we'll do with State of Black Detroit this year. I'm thinking what the hair show will look like. And then other than that, I'm like, okay, what other creative projects? I remember I told you something we're working on is I did this piece, a debt owed, not a handout, about the history of Detroit's figures and reparations and the history of reparations. And that was really cool, like a video essay where I really pushed myself to the limit. And you were one of the first people that I said, I was like, Sterling, watch this. And you was like, yeah, that's dope.
Awesome, yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I want to do something else like that. And that's where I was like, okay, let me tell the story of these Detroit firemen, because Dewan, shout out Dewan, his father, Mr. Wooden, passed away. And he was one of that first class of Detroit firemen. And I'm like, I could tell this story. And I think it'd be dope on Detroit is Different. So it's projects like that that I'm always thinking, like, how do I get that through line of telling these unique stories that I believe I have like an inroad in telling? How do we style it in a way where it connects? At times, I believe it's better than others. But each step of the way and process, I feel like it builds and it grows,
Do you feel like any of this is informed by like the shifting landscape in Detroit?
So Detroit is Different is 10 years old now.
And that's what I'm saying, because a lot has happened and changed in this city in that time. So how does that inform what happened?
I think I look back at the archive and it's interesting, like some of the interviews that I've had with people, as you were saying, like even before this, it's shocking sometimes. I'm like, damn, they came over here? Because like for people that don't know, like this studio is in a home that was my grandmother's home. This is actually my grandmother's room when I was a child. We in the hood, where people would label it. It's been some people that come here. It's like, it's shocking sometimes, because I remember what it was like early on. Sterling was on almost like every other day. You know what I mean? So,
but who are some of those people when you're like interviewing them? You're like, I can't believe this person is here. Like,
it's more so just their positionality of like them pulling up and appreciating.
Yeah, but I'm saying, who are you like? I can't believe they came.
Okay, let's see. We were kind of talking about like Dr. Lovejoy, this professor from U of M, that does this study on, which black people are going to be like, yeah, no shit. But the study on like the health impacts on like what knowing your history and the experiences your history you have been through as a people can have on your medical, have on you medically. That was like, that's interesting. I interviewed a bank president, like of multiple banks. That threw me off. You know what I'm saying? Like, so sometimes I get an email request and it's like, yeah, pull up. Pull up. If my skills are where they're supposed to be, and I feel really like every Detroit is Different interview is myself, the guest. In Detroit, it's kind of, and when I say Detroit, meaning my Detroit is Different arc. It's like sitting in the room with us. That's the project, as you say, like, what's the project that keeps going? That's the project. It's Detroit is Different.
Do you feel like there are things that you haven't gotten to that you're like, I want to, in terms of who comes or who shows up, or?
I used to think that maybe maybe 4 years ago. But nah, what I've learned is I tell people like the best interviews I feel like are usually from the people you never would expect. You know,
And why do you think that is?
because I think that a lot of the larger names and everything, it just involves like they have more to lose, so
Right.
they have to be a little bit more guarded about their conversation.
Right.
And as I get into like discussions, like how did your family get here? What's the history of that? Where are
Right.
you originally from? What did that connect? Like really a person's backstory.
Right.
That's very vulnerable. It's intimate.
Yeah.
Some people aren't trying to have that discussion. Some people are
Right.
just trying to have this is what I'm working on, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I feel that exists in media already. But as I'm usually listening to those interviews, all I'm thinking is like, okay, what's this person's origin? Like, what got them into this? You sound like a very powerful person, whomever that person is. You know what I'm saying? Like, wow, you're dedicating your life to, like, let's say Forrest Gump. You're running across America. Why are you doing this?
Right. Right.
Like, you can say because Jenny died, but furthermore, it's like, Mom, but seriously, why are you doing this? You know what I'm saying? Like, you could have just did a funeral like,
Yeah.
Billions of other people have done.
Right.
You're choosing a different path.
Yeah.
What about this inspired you to do that? And that's usually where the Detroit is different discussion starts.
Yeah. It made me think about how like you know how like when we do events or something, it's always one person that gets on the mic and they just talking. And you realize like that's their outlet. Like they trying to get their whole life story in that in that 50 seconds or whatever, And those are the people that aren't typically seen or heard or, in the public or whatever,
And I want to interview them here.
Yeah.
And I want to like frame it where it's like, all right, I feel you. I feel like the world hates you. When did you start feeling that way? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man, yeah. Maybe you get Kevin Durant in here someday.
Exactly. You started that second ghost account.
Yeah.
So I'm very, one of the things that I do want to seek out in this year 11 through 20 of Detroit is different is the expat factor of Detroit is different. Shout out Drake Pfeiffer and what he's doing with Detroit Diaspora Day. And people are like, Detroit Diaspora? Because there are so many people that are from Detroit that aren't in Detroit anymore, for many reasons.
Yeah.
And
which to me completely lines up with like the notion that we've heard a lot, in which I believe that Detroit is Africa. There's Africans everywhere.
So
Detroit is everywhere.
So I want to bring in some of those guests, or as I travel, talk to some of them.
Yeah.
And in the same variants, like I don't want to, talk to a person that's considered like the mega star. I just want to talk to a person with an interesting story that wants to sit down and talk.
And what for you is the value in that?
They're more present than mine. I believe it's a richer connection usually. It's anything. The person that's more willing is going to be more engaged. Person that's a little bit dismissive, or a person that's like, oh man, it's just got 10 views, so I'm not checking for it. It's like, great. That's great that's the angle that you see this from.
Yeah.
This ain't the forum for you.
Yeah. Do you ever imagine year 20 and what that looks like?
Yeah, man. I mean, by then, this is the other part of, we stopped talking about the collard green cook-off, but
We still are kind of, but go ahead.
this is actually a Sterling thing of it. So I'm cool with a lot of creatives. So that's where I feel like my energy is best. It's collaborating through creativity with others. Of which Sterling's going to do a lot of the music for the fireman piece. Probably most of the music. Unless we chase down Nick Speed. Shout out Speed.
Yeah, we need to get Speed to do some stuff.
Yeah, I love Speed. So in that, another one of my closest friends, like best friend, like all these people like brothers, Mike Will He's into 3D printing and stuff. So he designed the trophy because we were thinking like, okay, we can't just do a regular trophy because this is Detroit is different.
Yeah.
And when he designed the trophy, this was a Sterling idea. It was me, Sterling, and Piper walking out of Neek Love Roads doing the honor to women in hip hop.
Oh, yeah.
And Sterling was like, "Oh man, well you can't just call it the collard green cook-off trophy." And I was like, "What you mean?" he was like, "Well, I mean, you know, you got the Emmy," and I was like, "Damn, I guess you're right."
The Oscar.
You got the Oscar, you got the Tony.
Yeah.
So what you say that this should be?
The Colleen.
And this is what's even so funny. Buddha was like, "Man, you know I got an aunt named Colleen." So this is like more through lines in Black culture. Like what? So when I think of 20 years of all I think is like we're gonna see 10 different trophies. We'll have 10 different Colleens, like Super Bowl trophies.
Yeah, that was the NBA trophy. The Larry O'Brien trophy.
Yes. Yeah. So in my mind, I was like, that's all I think about. I'm just wondering how Mike is going to change that. Especially as like Buddha was like, yeah, I'm going to just win 3 and then I'm out the game.
He going to retire.
Buddha trying to be the Floyd Mayweather of collard greens.
He trying to retire at 3-0, huh? He trying to lead the greatest
I know
collard green champion.
The legacy. This is like the sports. It's like they was like, oh man, you know, back then they wasn't even doing. Back then they ain't even had this new seasoning that connects to the natural way of life and path. Man. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is I probably would beat them.
Oh man, yeah.
You know, and it'd be like the old, like, you know, when you watch these fight nights and stuff, like it'd be the old boxers in the crowd, like, so Buddha. Buddha would be like, and in the crowd, we have Buddha.
The legendary Buddha Calhoun.
And that's a trip to me. So I think of stuff like that when I think of that many years.
Is he gonna be in the logo like Jerry West?
The logo.
Stirring the pot.
Logo. He's the logo.
That would be hard. You need a logo. Like
I'm sure these 10 contestants got a lot to say about that. So, that's the other part of this year.
I mean, it's warranted if he wins 2 more, though, ain't it?
Hey, I can say this. So that's the other angle of this. I was like, okay, Buddha. So it's like the Kumite. So the playoffs 10 become 5.
Right.
Those 5 then battle.
Right.
And then in the final round, whoever wins of the 5 takes on Buddha.
Man, yeah, it's like American Gladiators.
It's real Royal Rumble-ish.
Yeah, it is.
You know, for anybody that watches wrestling, like that last person that gets in the Royal Rumble, like most people already know. They're like, you know.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, so.
Yeah. So like eventually that's the I see more boxing and wrestling in the competition. Like we'll get like Sterling to be Mean Gene Okerlund. So like whoever won last year will be like back there with Sterling, and Sterling will be like, all right, so what's going on? And be like, yeah.
You know, as a real wrestling head, you know, Jim Ross is my guy. So
okay, all right. Jim Ross. A cowboy hat, dude.
Yeah. Oh man.
But that's kind of how I see the vision growing, man. Like I think of the Colleen and how Mike's gonna get creative with it because it's all about the creativity. You know what I'm saying? Speaking of creativity, the art exhibit. This is the first time we're gonna do an art exhibit of the Belle Isle Strip. So I'm interested in your take on what the Belle Isle Strip will be.
Yeah.
You asked me, you was like, can I do anything? I was like, man, do you.
Yeah.
Hence, collaborating through creativity is, let's see these people's interpretations.
Man, I'm having a thought right now. I'm wondering if I should say it publicly because I think it should happen. But I'm gonna say it. But you remember, the Freaknik documentary just came
Yeah, I saw
out.
that.
It really needs to be a documentary about Belle Isle in the '90s. Like, I don't know how it'd probably be impossible to get the footage, but people got stories. But like, I try to tell younger people that did, like, you remember what Jefferson was like in the '90s on a Saturday? It was gridlock from Woodward to the aisle for hours and hours every single weekend.
And see, that's what I think the exhibit's gonna do. It's gonna get some conversations going where we can get like some testimonials.
Oh man, because it was Freaknik every weekend.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember 8 p.m. Saturday night, and it's literally people dancing on top of cars with bullhorns. Hey, girl, come over here on the bullhorn. Hey, they say girl, but like for real, like on bullhorn, like it was like a stand, like
it was
a lot of people had bullhorns.
the feature I want to do on Ghetto Tech, it's like all these ideas of like black culture that I want to like capture. I even want to do, and I know this sounds weird, but and you're gonna laugh hard at this. You like actually like draw, like that would inspire me to really do it. You would draw the picture of it, like I would love to do like some features on the old dudes that drink coffee every morning in Coney Island. You know what I'm saying? Because like I assume if you sitting around in the morning, like you know what I'm saying, the dude that's there every day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That would be funny. You know what I'm saying? Like in the stories they would tell, whether they real or not, it would be entertaining.
Yeah. Which low key there needs to kind of be a Coney off.
A Coney off.
Because I'm sick of getting into arguments with friends about who got the best Coney.
Hilarious. I don't know. That may be down the line as we build more.
It's just in my head because
that would be that would
because we can't seem to agree on that.
That would be. I don't even know how we would start that, but that would be funny though. That would be extremely funny. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, like
everybody gonna say they Coney. The Coney that's in their neighborhood.
Say that. I know. So these are the stories that I think would be cool. Adding a little bit more music to the mix of this stuff too. Shout out my brother in name, Khary Turner. We've been playing around because he's always getting mistaken for me, and I've been getting mistaken for him for forever. So we may do some music stuff. Like, just how can we get more creative? What would that look like? How would that feel? How do we bring this together? How do I collaborate with others to bring about creativity? And then along the way, through the autonomy of that, this is the other part of the design of the business of it. How does it become sustainable? You know, how do you keep some lights on? How do you involve others? How do you connect people to the vision? And I've always felt like my creativity is like a couple of paces before people. Like
What do you mean?
That quote I have on my album from Patrice O'Neal. It's like I'm having a dream and I'm trying to explain it to a person and they're just looking at me like, "What the hell are you talking about?" I feel like that often. I'm understanding that more. So it's like, okay, I'm putting the elephant in more chunks. So I'm just very excited for all of what's to come creatively while appreciating what has already come to life creatively. And it's really about the collaboration of others through that spirit of creativity.
Do you ever like sit back and be like, man, I did that?
When I was talking to the dude from Kresge today, I was thinking about that. Like, it's almost like whole other iterations of like the root of a lot of the start of this. Like the root of a lot of the start of this was so hip hop for me for so long until we were hanging out at the Woodward restaurant so much, like years ago. This is 2007. So for people that remember the Woodward restaurant right at the corner of Woodward where the Kern clock is, and the owner, William Cartwright, he was real cool. And I was like, yo, you know what would be really dope from going to an African Center School, Aisha Shule? I was like, it would be really dope if every night of Kwanzaa, people went to black restaurants. That was just the initial thought.
Mm-hmm.
And we can start right here with the Woodward.
Mm-hmm.
So I approached William. He was like, I ain't open that time of the year, man, because it's like too close to Christmas. But if you can get some food in here and some people, I'll open up for you.
Mm.
So that was like kind of the first, I think, mix and mesh between like separating instead of me using the division and compartmentalizing and saying like, okay, hip hop is this world and that's where hip hop is. And Kwanzaa is this world. I was like, I can bring this together through my band, General Population.
Yeah.
And that was one heck of an event. I mean, the support of my godmother, Joanne Watson, and many others, my mom, my grandma from Cleveland, Grandma Vale came and she cooked for people, making some dishes. William opened up his kitchen, and it was one heck of an event.
But that, I mean, to me, like, that's as hip hop as it gets, though, ain't it? Because even if you think about the origins of hip hop, like, it was that. It was like, we need to do something.
Yeah. But
What
it
do
still
we-
felt like this group of old people, and it was like, nah, we still gonna do it. And it was interesting. Help of Brandon Jessup, LaToya Henry, and so many others. So that
What year was that?
That was 2007.
Okay.
So that event kind of was like the first foray into like mixing cultural events. And from there, people was like, you need to do a Juneteenth. So I was like, okay, we can do a Juneteenth at the Woodward. You know, and this is before, you know, sadly, a lot of black opportunity comes from tragedy, and the death of George Floyd, like, turned Juneteenth into a holiday. In my opinion. National holiday, I should say. And when I was doing it was still like, what the hell is Juneteenth? And then I learned a whole lot more about it. I'm like, okay, let me connect people to this. From that, even me and Yusef remember the Kwanzaa at the Renaissance.
I remember that day. I was there.
That was one heck of an event. And that was the last event at the Renaissance Club,
Right.
the Renaissance Center. So, like, that's 2009. So 15 years later, it all connecting is like, wow, you know, I think of stuff like that. When I was doing Follow Leader, the hip hop leadership workshop, you know, it's humbling to think of the experiences. And now I'm starting to really just focus more on like, wow, you know what I'm saying? Just be so thankful for where things are. Because I feel like I'm in a double bonus in a lot of ways.
So let me ask you this, though. Since we talked a little, we mentioned hip hop. How has all of this informed you, even though you're kind of technically on hiatus right now?
Yeah.
How is all of this, or how will all of this inform how you make hip hop, or how you look at hip hop, or your relationship to hip hop as an artist? Like, how have all of these endeavors, you think, changed hip hop, Khary, the hip hop artist? You know what I'm saying?
All right, so first off, shout out to Nick Speed. I know that's like, man, you ain't never, you know. I will.
No, I know you will.
It actually threw me off that Khary Turner got rapping before. I always thought like I was gonna pick it back up. So like I'm looking at Turner do everything he's doing, and I'm like, yo, this is dope.
Yeah. Because I don't like acting like you ain't a rapper and you're just somebody to do podcasts and you know. Like,
yeah, a lot of people. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, that does make sense that you would rap like when they think of my presentation, my cadence, my hands movement, rapper hands.
Yeah.
You know, so I would say it's some ideas and thoughts about songs. Like I jot down lines. I still will sometimes freestyle. I still sometimes come up with paces and rhythms.
Yeah.
But while the biggest block was like, okay, what stage will this be, and how will the offering be, And now I feel like a stage and an offering does exist, but now it's like more so creatively, what do I want to express and how do I want to express it?
But how's Detroit's different affected that?
Oh, most definitely.
And how is that? How has it affected that?
I think some of the stories that I can't even tell in this form of communication through podcast and conversation or video.
Yeah.
I think they'll hit more through song, because I do feel that me included, because it's still there as an energy. You know, I believe in variance. That it's a lot of black men that feel as though life owes them a whole lot more, and the reality is it does. But the constraints, I believe, of where life is,
Right.
it's not going to provide that. So I want to really explore more of that through song in a way that's like really natural. Through some interesting visuals too. Like I see some interesting visuals, and back to like just that pouring in and that value. Because as I'm speaking, I'm still speaking of me, and seeing how it can kind of connect in community. But that's one of the toughest things. I feel like I had that chip on my shoulder of like that validation, or feeling as though that need for the agency for something.
Right.
And now I'm not saying that it won't ever come back or it doesn't exist or whatever, but it's not as ever present. I really do feel as though, man, I look at some of the stuff and I step back, it's like, damn, this is phenomenal. You know, this is phenomenal. Even the cameras that I got in here, like, this was my grandma room. You know what I'm saying? I'm in, technically right now as I'm sitting, this was like my grandma's closet. You know what I'm saying? And it's a podcast studio.
Right.
You know? And it's so cool.
Yeah. I mean, this may sound crazy, but I'm curious, like, what she would say to you, like, if you did this with the house.
I think this is what's so unique. Starting at the beginning of this year, I started my meditations every morning, and I'm trying to, you know, I'm more successful or less successful. But I look to really wake up in between the hours of 4 o'clock in the morning and 4:30.
Damn.
And
I ain't even sleep yet.
I know. So
What?
as I'm waking up, I wake up, kind of pace myself, then into meditation.
Yeah.
Meditation, I have like this book that I write into. And my method of meditation is, first I sit and I think to ground myself, for like I'm breathing in, breathing out. Then I think of a color, or not think of a color. I experience whatever color comes to me. And that's more like ready to like transition over to like whatever plane of meditation. And then from that plane of meditation I'm in, I welcome whatever spirits come. Usually about 4. Today it was 3. My grandma, my maternal grandma, is very present in a lot of my meditations. Like, and it was when I interviewed with Nefertiti, that does different readings and everything, that spoke of like, yeah, it's a warm spirit around you here in this room, like when we were in. And I'm like, I believe that, because I think that's my grandma. So, I mean, as much as my grandma had such a like almost like TV grandma experience with me, now that I know more about her story, my grandma had a little, you know what I'm saying, a little hood and stuff. And, you know, she spent time as a social worker, connected to the Catholic and Presbyterian Church, working a lot on the East Side. She was such a member of community in her own method and way. I mean, they called her Mother Dear because she was always bossing people around. That's kind of why. And but still very loving in her own way. So many ways, actually. So I think that she would see this, and definitely, like my mom even, because she's ever present in so many of my meditations, they would definitely give the critiques to, you know, tighten it up. Have a lot of appreciation. Even in the garden, You know what I'm saying? Appreciation. Like it falls in order when things move naturally and aren't forced. So this stuff is kind of, I think, manifesting and moving naturally.
What do you think she would say to you though?
I think that, well, Mother Dear would probably say,
Yeah, Mother Dear.
so the first thing she would do is, like most things, what you just did. She would laugh
Yeah,
and smile.
yeah.
And then she probably say, "You need to get some more church people." I know that's what she probably say. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna get some more church people on here.
Yeah. What did this house feel like when she was in this house?
It felt like so. It really felt like anything was possible.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
My sister and I, my big sister Dar, we had such a different relationship with Mother Dear because she was retired
Mm-hmm.
when we were around.
Mm-hmm.
We lived next door for most of our life.
Mm-hmm.
So the convenience of some free babysitting, quote, but loved babysitting.
Mm-hmm.
We got a chance to experience Mother Dear from a level of like, damn near, her life revolved around us in a lot of ways. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So being here in this house, like, she kept cable when my parents was like, we ain't paying for that. Come over here, watch, you know what I'm saying? Watch the box I ain't supposed to be watching, you know what I'm saying? And sit, read comic books all day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know how it is at a grandma's house. So, like, you're reading comic books and it's her living room, but you spread them all out. Now I want to read Spider-Man, and now I want to read Incredible Hulk, and now I want to play with G.I. Joe. Like, it was no bother.
Right.
Not like your crib. It's like, if you don't put that stuff away. You know what I'm saying? So it was a level of expression and freedom here.
Mm-hmm.
And even through our friends, like one of our closest friends, Milton Henry, which I had no idea his history. As I always tell people, it's like, that was my grandma friend, would pour into us. I always tell this story. The first business I ran was a fly swatting business. Milton Henry was our first customer. You know what I'm saying? So he gave me and Dar 5 cents because it was 5 cents per fly. We really didn't work out the math very well, but I remember my cousin Mary started laughing so much at that. Mary gonna be at the collard green cook-off too. So that's the person in my family. If you ever really want to know where I'm gonna be at in any family gathering, find Mary and you probably find me. Laughing and chucking it up.
You swatting flies for revolutionaries.
Swatting flies for revolution.
You was for the people then, huh? That's amazing, man.
Yeah, man. So that's what I think she would say. She would laugh and say, "Get some more church people on here."
Mm-hmm.
That's what she would say.
So, and I'm just curious, since we here too, like, what year again? Because I can't remember. Like, what year did you start the makerspace here?
17.
Okay.
So, as my friend Dewan, shout out Dewan again, moved out, I've run studios in different places. So we had the 1440.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had the studio in Southfield with Khan. So like the 1440 was a whole different energy. Joey Spina.
But that was mostly like music recording, though. That wasn't podcasting. Yeah.
Right. It was just all, And then, as I was running the studio in Southfield with Khan a little bit more, that's where like the distance. And then I'm getting a little bit more into like the podcasting or where things would go and pivot. And I was podcasting next door for the longest. Or not the longest, but just for a period. And I'm like, I'm going to turn this into the studio. After the original plan was to get my paternal grandmother to move to Detroit. Granny, but Granny wasn't having that. So then it was like, okay, we gonna turn this into the studio. And it was Yusef. Yusef Shakur told me, this is the most revolutionary shit you ever did. And I was like, I don't know what Yusef talking about. Dr. Bunchy Shakur. And I didn't really understand it at the time. Now I kind of understand exactly where he's coming from.
Why is that?
Because even the space of it, not charging people to podcast, knowing that it takes time and place and space for a person to develop their voice. Many have come, many have not continued, but they did have that opportunity. And then building more relationships, building a rapport, seeing what this is like, giving that platform for the person to speak that usually wouldn't have it. Having their visions of like what media is, what success is, what celebrity is, because this is dealing in all of those realms, and seeing it manifest. It's very unique because it's relationships with community that now people that grew up from completely different backgrounds, people that hold different value sets and different value systems. But still would appreciate access to resourcing that I have access to, and how do we balance this without, as much as we can, any preferential treatment. It's revolutionary shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we're still learning as we go. You know what I'm saying? We shout out Joe Black. Joe Black helps a lot of this grow. Maceo and others, but yeah.
Yeah, man. So at this point, what would you say is like what is the feeling of it now versus like the feeling? Do you feel like it's settled some? Do you feel like you know what it is? Where are you in terms of like the space? Like you feel settled in and like I know what we're doing, or you still feel like I don't know what we're doing?
It's always a little bit of not knowing.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of creativity. As much as like anybody that knows, I'm a hell of a planner. Like I'm trying to cross as many T's and dot as many I's as possible. So certain things are just going to have uncertainty. It's real. You're dealing with the number one X factor, people. So with it, being at peace of exhausting all I can exhaust. And that's something that you do, I believe, very well. Like, did I give the effort that I feel that I could have gave? Was my effort predicated upon another expectation? Can my effort be predicated on what presently can manifest what I'm seeking to manifest versus, I'm doing this to get to there. If I'm doing this to get to there, I'm really not even focused on this. And I'm not really focused on there either. Focused on what I believe there is. Because I'm doing this. So I know that sounds crazy for people. But sit. Rethink as I say this again. If I'm focused on this to get to there, I don't really have a lot of focus. And my vision of what I think there is, without really being in the presence of mind and experience and working on it, is only I'm romanticizing what I feel there is. And that's a space that I don't feel that I thrive in, me personally. And it still exists. I mean, I'm human. So that's where I like this conversation we're having right now. I'm here. As much as all that other stuff's going on, I'm here.
So where do you thrive?
When I am in presence of mind. When I am in presence of mind.
And what allows that?
Gratitude. Appreciation for the connection
Mm-hmm.
And really the connection with anyone is really exploring other dynamics of myself.
Mm-hmm.
I love to laugh. I love smiling. I love enjoying something.
Mm-hmm.
All of life is not that.
Mm-hmm.
So even navigating what the other experiences are
Mm-hmm.
is beautiful in that journey,
Mm-hmm.
which adds more to that smile, more to the laugh, more to the enjoyment process.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'm thriving, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
in understanding that, because it's understanding my journey in life
Mm-hmm.
and all of these nuances
Mm-hmm.
through, I believe, all of our roles as human beings is we're social creatures.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we socialize?
Right.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
with the same willingness to know that we're all X factors.
Mm.
Sometimes people just don't feel it.
Feel what?
Whatever it is that you were supposed to do with them. You know what I'm saying? It could be, I don't feel like coming into work today. And it's
Hey,
like, damn,
man.
you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That pilot that was supposed to get you across the country for whatever your big opportunity was, they ain't feeling it today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you feel like there's a potential for things that, because this is something that's so in motion now, and do you feel like there's a great potential for things that you might not have even thought or anticipated doing?
It's all the time.
Mm-hmm.
All the time.
Mm-hmm.
It trips me out when I look at some of the people that are listening to and like where they're from. Detroit is different.
Mm-hmm.
Trips me out. I'm like, damn, for real?
Yeah.
I mean, the piece I did for you about Bodie James and Main Draw McNichols,
Mm-hmm.
it's still like so early in my video journey.
Mm-hmm.
It's so chaotic in certain ways, but it's also so beautiful in a lot of ways. You know what I'm
But
saying?
ain't life chaotic?
Huh?
Ain't life chaotic?
That's
At
where I
times?
think, especially that project. So it's like it matches the feel.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I had my friend Kelly like, yo, we about to drive down East 6 Mile. And I'm gonna put my camera out the side.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna start playing around with ways to like play the music and stuff. Like even earlier in the YouTube era, because it allowed me to put the music in it without being flagged. You know what I'm saying? So like it's a lot of stuff that, like I love all I did with the animations to start. And it took a long time to get it, but like how that starts in like Sterling and Bodie, I just said, yo, pull up, and all I need is probably about an hour from y'all. I'm gonna take some pictures and do some video.
Mm-hmm.
That's what leads to that intro. And I'm learning lessons that I still apply to this day from then.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, Lord knows, I may have worked 19 hours learning After Effects, but I needed a project I was inspired by to learn it.
Mm-hmm.
That was that project.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but to me, man, like there's something special in those moments and instances where you don't know, because I always think about how like without knowing, the only thing that you have is intuition. And to me, like intuition is being plugged into that higher energy. So putting yourself in positions to where you don't know, it's like it's opening you up to receiving that information beyond yourself,
Hey, you can say that again, because it's a lot of stuff that I'm learning where it's like, wow, for real?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even today, bouncing through some error codes and After Effects for a project I'm working on for the Michigan Roundtable for Just Communities.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Youssef Shakur and Steve Spritzer and Dez and Stacy and all of the team over there, where it's like I kept running into a rendering error for people that are nerds in video and stuff. And then I figured it out. But I know I'm able, like I have more confidence in this world, not just what it can do. Hence, I'm trying to get there because I've been here. Here was spending 19 hours working on that. And you was like, yo, I think this project's dope. And then I listened to it. I'm like, yo, this project is dope. And it's like, let's do something. Just came about.
Yeah, man. And that's the beauty of it, right? The natural, organic evolution of
Yeah.
what comes of just engaging in curiosity and
And that's part of, like, you even tell me, like, sometimes I go back to that video and it's like people that have taken that video and made videos from that video.
They use it for everything, bro. Like, that has become the... I've seen so many stills from that day. You know, like when anybody does a think piece on it, it's from on that record is from that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that record is one of those pieces that I've known you were working on for forever.
Yeah.
I definitely didn't work on the video thing as long, but I'm so glad that I was a part of that because you was like, yo, man, you should do this. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's why I'm looking at your film journey and I'm like, oh, this is cool. You dropped something with like shadows and light. It was like, I like it. This is that Sterling shit. As always, you know, like I like it. You know.
Yeah, I mean, and with that, it's like, again, going back to what you're saying. To me, it's like, it ain't nothing greater than jumping off the porch. You know what I mean? Like, you just got to jump off the porch.
Yeah.
Sorry, you don't know. You figure it out, but jump off the porch. You know?
Definitely, man. Definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, man, as I wrap, and there'll be more of these discussions, it'll be a whole different blend because I'm going to bring in our other cohort, our big homie. Well, she was Nandi. Going to interview. It's going to be way more academic at that point. I already hear Nandi. If she listened this long, she'd be like, oh, my God. I hear Nandi. Nandi's hilarious. You know what I'm saying? So that's the other part. Like, because I want to do some creative stuff with her, too, with video.
Yeah.
Because she was like, I need some more stuff. And I'm like, yo, I'd love to do something with you.
Oh.
So I'm going to do something with her. I have all these ideas, and it's about collaborative creativity.
Yeah. And why?
That's what I feel I'm most inspired by.
Mm-hmm.
So even in the iteration of the music, which I think it'll be with more producers and it'll be some performers, but it'll be collaborative. Mm-hmm. Definitely.
But what is in that to you?
It's the communication of making something make sense. Like, it feels like it gets bigger. And really, if I go back to the real root of it, it's what me and my sister were doing all the time. Me and Dar. You know? We were always coming up with stuff. It felt natural. It felt like at home. It felt like this is what we supposed to do.
Right.
We had this group. I'll close on this. We had a group called the Backyard Club. When we was like 6 and 7. You know what I'm saying? We was always doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
BYC. That was like our first organization.
Yeah.
And we started BYC, as I think about it, because mom and dad were a part of, at one point in time in the 80s, BDPA, Black Data Processing Association.
Yeah.
Which, okay, if you're younger than 50, you're probably like, what the hell is data processing? At one point in time, computers needed to process data. My dad was a computer programmer. It was a group that wasn't that active, and they re-engaged the activity. And like a lot of stuff, the energy around Black data processing grew into people that didn't even own a computer or think about it, wanted to connect to it. So I think in us mimicking what we saw our parents connecting to, it's like, okay, let's create Backyard Club.
What was the mission of BYC?
BYC. It was just people coming together. I remember we even had like a trial court where shout out Don. Don stole some chips from the corner store. Where everybody got like Dan from the corner store, so we like had a court and shit. It was like just stuff like that. It was damn near like what's all? It was like damn near like we in the middle of the hood having like Bayside High experiences or something.
That's funny because a lot of my memories of organized and stuff like that went completely left. and on the east side, you know.
I mean, but I think I've always kind of had I don't know, like a way of bringing stuff and people together. Yeah. Even at a young age. Yeah. Where it's like it starts making sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it's important. I remember I was so you know, my backyard on the east side, right? We had full court. Right? We had full court, but it was dirt and roots. right? And so when it's real dry,
Link, Indiana. That was like the Converse.
For real, man. And it's real dry. We kick up dust and, you know, like we blowing black snot and all that kind of stuff. Our socks be black, you know, like it was like rough, right? But we play all day. So I had full court in this backyard, little full court because it's behind a bungalow, you know what I'm saying? But we had full court. So, you know, we all playing basketball. We like, we ought to start a league. You know, this is my first foray into organizing, right?
Yeah.
Set it up, wrote it all out. We had a draft. Like,
that's funny.
We had a real draft. We had jerseys. My father bought us a pack of T-shirts, right?
Yeah.
So I ain't never told you the story.
No.
So he bought me a pack of T-shirts.
My guy.
We walked across 8 Mile. It was like a little car auto parts store on the other side of 8 Mile that sold like car paint, like spray paint, but it was like for cars, right?
Yeah.
So we had some stencils, so we spray painted the names of all the teams on the shirts and all that. So like when you come up, when you drafted, you hold up your T-shirt.
That's dope. That's dope.
Right. So we do the draft. The draft goes off without a hitch. Like this is great, right? Everybody, you know, like smiling with their shirts and all that stuff, right? We leave the spray cans in the backyard that night. So I grew up on Hawthorne. It was two twins on the next block, Calvin and Kevin. And they was lawless, boy.
They needed a lot of love.
They needed a lot of love, right? They stayed on camera. So that night, after we wrapped the draft,
yes,
go home and celebrate. Next morning, I'm in bed, and my father like, hey, come down here. I'm like, what, you know? Come look at this, right? I get to the door. It's so fun. Every car on the block but my father got spray painted words all over.
A lot of love needed from those brothers. A lot of love needed from the young brothers.
Man, oh man. Yeah, so that was how the league started.
I thought I was gonna close out, but we did almost the same thing.
Yeah.
Cause I just had the hoop in the backyard when my cousin Vicky's husband James, cause he hooped, put a hoop in the backyard, like the concrete rim and everything. Concrete uneven, still uneven. But still better run.
Yeah.
So one day, this was the '93 finals. Phoenix versus the Bulls, because we back there, we just talking shit about, you know, at the time, it was like Barkley and them gonna win. It's like, no, he not. Jordan gonna win. It's like Barkley gonna win. Jordan gonna win. Barkley gonna win. Jordan gonna win. So then that led to like, all right, we gonna make our own game. So it's like almost like in talking and stuff. It's like, how we gonna do the game? And it's like, okay, we gonna organize it. Detroit Flames. That's the name that I named it. Versus another team. So my Aunt Marie that stayed across the street, my great aunt.
Yeah.
I was like, I told her about it.
Yeah.
And I made some flyers with just markers. And I sold tickets. Tickets were like $2 or something.
Yeah.
And then I organized everybody else. Like, this is where, like, my dad even says, like, I knew you were skilled because he remembers this. So I made the flyers with markers.
Yeah.
I went to Aunt Marie, and she was like, I'm going to help you guys get some jerseys. So she had, like, some jerseys from her church that was, like, in the basement.
Yeah.
Then my mom was like, we going to get y'all some other shirts and everything. So my mom went to Shoppers World and got us some, like, cheap shorts and tank tops and stuff.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, from going to Nataki Taliba. I'm like, my sister gonna sing the Black National Anthem. So this is like all of that. Like you're mimicking what you see.
Yeah.
And we got like all of the chairs. Benny, the Crafts, like uncle. Benny used to always get us like he was the guy that anytime the ice cream truck would pull up, he get us ice cream. So we was like, Benny got money. So Benny gonna, buy tickets for everybody. And so Benny bought some tickets for everybody. And the neighborhood just watched us play basketball. And it went off without hitch to like the very end when, it was a fight. You know what I'm saying? But this was like in that same iteration of kids doing like the imagination coming to life, being present in what this is.
Right.
So 93, 11, we're like 10, 11. Like really like between 8 and 12. And it was fun. We even played after the game, obviously, because that's what kids do. But we did the same thing.
Yeah, man.
And I'm sure a lot of other kids did the same thing too. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, Einstein's theory of relativity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, it's community, man.
But yeah, it's community. And they came and they watched some of the most, I'm sure, sloppy. Hard to watch basketball ever. But it's different when it's your kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
It's like, damn. It's like, learn to dribble.
Man. That's funny.
No one was Kyrie Irving. Let's put it like that.
Man, yeah.
That's where it starts, man. That's where it starts. So things like that when I'm 10 and 11, or backyard club even before that. So that's like 8 and 9. You know what I'm saying? So like these ideas have always been like, okay, how do we collaborate? How do we make things happen?
Yeah.
Even trips like I always say, going to the store. Because you knew the kid that had money and the kid that didn't have money. So to avoid somebody stealing and getting kicked out the store, you had to like get I was always thinking like, okay, we need to get like a consensus on everybody liking a big bag of barbecue chips versus everybody getting their own individual stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because like Aaron and them got money. Juan ain't got no money. So how do we, you know what I'm saying? Like halfway up the block, you got to be talking like, yeah, we should get barbecue chips today.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking that at, 7.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm thinking that today, like.
But it's like, everybody ain't got a podcast studio, so. You can come to Detroit, it's different.
Right.
So that's it, man. So come out. Detroit is different. Keep it moving. 10 years. As always, thank you, Sterling.
As Buddha Calhoun strives to put another jersey in the rafters. Another banner in the rafters.
People going for Buddha. People going for Buddha. I'm telling you. People going for Buddha. I hope Buddha got like a different recipe.
Oh, yeah. He got to flip the script this year.
He
got to make it some kind of acquisition.
Like the dunk contest.
Yeah.
You can't just do the 360. You got to do
Yeah.
720.
Yeah. He got to make some ingredient acquisition to.
Better.
Yeah.
They coming for Buddha.
Do it, Buddha.
They coming.
All right.
Guy. All right.
Yeah.
Peace.
Detroit is Different is where you get information, artistry, history, music, and even comedy. Detroit is Different, a home for the culture of Detroit. Visit online at DetroitisDifferent.com today